Welcome everyone to the show. It's a live stream action going on today. I have two special guests for our show today, and they'll be tuning in at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So check in, stay tuned. I have Domenik Hixon, two-time Super Bowl champion for the New York Football Giants. And I have Eddie Murray, Super Bowl champion for the Dallas Cowboys, joining in at 11 a.m. Like I said, hope you guys are doing well today. Many blessings. Doing great things. So stay tuned. They'll be joining in real soon. So stay tuned. Getting everything squared away for these guys to join in. So stay tuned, folks. Stay tuned. If you're not a subscriber yet, hit the subscribe button. We do interviews with professional athletes joining in the show, NFL guys, NBA guys, baseball guys. I have several guys coming on this week to join us. We roll out about 2 episodes a day. This is a special live show for you guys. So 11 o'clock, we're going live with 2 NFL athletes. So stay tuned, guys. Stay tuned. They're joining in at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Getting it all squared away now. So leave it down in the comments section who your favorite athletes are, and I'll reach out to them and see if they can come on our show. So leave it down in the comments section. Also, if you want to donate to our channel, it's in our description. Donate to our channel to help us grow, and we greatly appreciate it. Subscribe, like I mentioned, Sports Talk 1996. This is the Success Table playlist. Like I mentioned, we upload episodes every single day of new athletes coming on our show. So a lot of content being produced. Hope you guys are doing well today. We're going live with 2 NFL athletes on the top of the hour at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So stay tuned, guys. Getting it all squared away. Just stay with us and bear with me. So stay tuned. Favorite athletes, leave it down in the comments section. Let's get some people tuning in here. The top of the hour at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Joining in with two Super Bowl champion players. So stay tuned, guys. Stay tuned. Did you guys see the game last night? Raiders versus the Ravens. We're joining in right now with Eddie Murray, like I promised. Eddie, how are you doing, sir? Getting him connected. Eddie, how are you doing, sir?
Oh, I'm doing okay. Everything okay? Is that light too distracting? Should I find something or?
That's perfect, man.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I wanted to welcome you on our show, Sports Talk 1996 on YouTube. This is the Success Table playlist on our channel. And we're joined in by Mr. Eddie Murray, Mr. 20 seasons in the NFL.
Yes. Yeah, very fortunate.
Definitely, man. Hey, how did it all start for you, man?
Well, a lot of unexpected things happened. Really the biggest thing for me to have put me in the position of having the career that I had was really having the opportunity to go play football at Tulane University. 1976. I was living in Victoria, British Columbia. Not exactly on the doorstep of Tulane University in New Orleans, Louisiana. And back then, to have Willard Wells, who was an assistant coach who had just signed with Larry Smith as part of the new staff to go to Tulane University. And the short story is he fell across some old film of me playing Canadian football. And he kind of reached out to me, being the bulldog recruiter that he was, and found a way to get a hold of me. And that was the biggest break of my life. I mean, I was out of high school a year, was not from a family of wealth. I had no interest in going to college. I was, playing a bunch of different sports in Victoria, soccer and rugby, and playing football. I mean, football was kind of just a secondary sport really for me to just, another outlet for athletic endeavors and playing with guys that I knew. Football wasn't a big sport in Victoria. It wasn't, I played it through high school, but it wasn't a high school sport. It was a sponsor league outside of school.
Yes,
and
sir.
I also, the reason why it was a later sport for me was maybe I got to go back to the beginning. I was born in Halifax, Nova Scotia. which is the East Coast Naval Base of the Canadian Navy. My father was a career naval officer in the Canadian Navy for 25 years, served in World War II and Korean War, retired in 1960, but he was British. He was from England. So he moved the family back to England after retiring from the Navy. And so I lived in Portsmouth, Hampshire, which is where D-Day started from. It's the naval base and submarine base for the U.S. For the British, for the British forces. And so I lived in England from 1960 to 70. My father unfortunately passed away when I was 14, and my mother, being Canadian, wanted to move back closer to her family. So we moved to Victoria, British Columbia. I have an older brother and sister that were born in Victoria when my father was stationed there, because that's the West Coast Naval Base for the Canadian Navy. So in 1970, I moved to Victoria, BC. Went to middle school, went to high school. Wasn't into school. I went to school to play sports. I didn't go to school to learn.
I hear you, man.
So, and it was just more laziness, to be honest with you. It was just, I was, still suffering from the loss of my father. And my brother was a teacher in London, and my sister was married to a German living in Baden-Baden, Germany. So they were never kind of around to kind of, for lack of better words, maybe give guidance to me because of me being the baby of the family. And I had a mother that, just was going through her issues with the loss of her husband and trying to take care of me, really. And unfortunately, she ended up passing away shortly from cancer right before I went to Tulane University. So a lot of things were kind of going on, and my life was just kind of in a jumble at that time. And then when Willard Wells, God rest his soul, he found me and reached out to me and offered me this opportunity. And I had a soccer coach in high school at Spectrum High that I went to in Victoria, that was very close to me, a guy named Joe Beckers, who's still very influential in my life. Even now, I always enjoy his company, and he's always been very supportive of me. And he gave me a lot of guidance at that time. He just said, "Hey, Ed, look, don't look a gift horse in the mouth. You have a great opportunity to get an education, take advantage of it. And I suggest you go, even though you're not the greatest of students. And believe me, I try to keep you eligible for high school when I was there. And so I did. I did. I signed, I went to Tulane, and I applied myself. I still say the proudest day of my life was walking down, getting my degree at Tulane University in 4 years. And it was the hardest thing I had to do. I had to apply myself. I had to learn studying techniques, and took advantage of, tutors to, allow me to get my degree in 4 years. That kind of put me in the position of then, being drafted and then going to a team such as the Detroit Lions that were kind of rebuilding and taking advantage of the opportunity to, play on an exciting team in 1980 with Billy Sims in the draft. I was in Billy's draft, and that team was pretty exciting, changing things around and making my mark on the team and in the league at that time too. And like I said, I was very fortunate to carve out the length of career that I had and the teams that I played with, and playing with the Cowboys in '93, but the Super Bowl, of course, was extremely exciting for me. And that's the pinnacle of why you play football, is to win the Super Bowl. And I feel honored to have been a part of that team.
Definitely. We're going to transition to Domenik. How's it going, man?
Man, good. How you doing?
Hey, blessings to have you on our show. And I wanted to get it all started off with you. How did you get involved with football as a kid, Domenik?
Man, so growing up, I grew up in Germany, and so born and raised as a military young man, and just saw some older kids playing football, and just kind of started there.
Yeah. Hey, for both of you guys, how did
There we go.
Who were some of, good to see you. Hey, who are some of your role models, you guys, both of you?
Well,
Uh,
I'm sorry, Dominic. Yeah, but, with us being brought up in Europe, of course, my influences were the great soccer players. I lived in England from 60 to 70. So, the Georgie Bests and Bobby Charlton and Dennis Laws and, Eusebios from Portugal and Pele. Those were the people that were influencing my life at that time for me.
For sure.
yeah, and for me, it was pretty much who was ever in the Super Bowl that year. My parents recorded it for me on the VCR, and I had an opportunity to watch it the next day. And so, but my parents, I mean, they were inspirational. I looked up to both of them who worked, long hours. Dad, who's fighting war over in Desert Storm and that type of stuff, and so I looked up to both of them. And sports wise, of course, Deion Sanders, Joe Montana, those type of guys there, and Emmitt Smith. I used to be a Cowboys fan, and that changed later on.
Playing against them,
Yeah,
being
right,
in
right.
NFC, man. So, with those runs to the Super Bowl for you guys, what stands out about the team chemistry for both squads? You with the Cowboys, Eddie, and with the New York Football Giants, Dominique.
Go ahead, Dominic.
Yeah, I mean, for us, I felt it was a real family atmosphere. Everyone was close, on the field and off the field, hanging out with each other off the field, and just having that belief in each other. Working hard throughout the year, facing adversity, overcoming it. But yeah, I mean, when I tell people, it was more than just football. For us, it felt like again, it just felt like you were with your brothers out there playing, and you didn't want to let them down.
Definitely. And
Yeah,
the helmet catch and the Mario Manningham.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
Key. So Eddie, how was that run to the Super Bowl for you?
Well, for me, I just kind of hung onto their coattails. So they had won the Super Bowl the year before when it was played in the Rose Bowl, when they had the real kind of blowout game against Buffalo. And so the following year in the '93 Super Bowl, it was in Atlanta, and it was Jimmy Johnson's last year with the Cowboys. And for me, it was it was intriguing. Just like what Dominique said. I mean, when you're part of a team and you build up to getting to that game, compared to being put into a team, I signed the third game of the year the same day that because Emmett was holding out for more money at that time. And so he and I signed the same day. And then all of a sudden things just kind of clicked for them. They had all the pieces in place. Emmett was back in the fold. They had kind of solved their kicking issues and didn't really need to worry with me being an older guy coming in and taking over for Ken Willis at the time. It was just like what Dominic said. It was just that camaraderie that they had on and off the field. I mean, that was that changing of that franchise from going from the old guard back with, Tom Landry and Roger Staubach and that era of the ownership to Jerry Jones coming in and buying the Cowboys out, bringing Jimmy in. They were 1-15, I believe, their first season. And then 3 years later, here they are, they're playing in the Super Bowl. So that change of the culture of how they wanted to put a team together happened really quickly for them. And for me, it was interesting to be a part of that team and see just how well they did everything and how Jimmy, was a great motivator. I mean, he and I clicked pretty quickly, and it was, hey, everybody has a job, do your job. And if everybody's all on the same page, we're going to win more games than we lose. And it was a simple philosophy, but that kind of echoed through the hallways at Valley Ranch at that time.
Definitely. Wasn't that you're going into your 13th year when that happened?
That was actually
right?
my 14th season, because the year before I played 1 year in Tampa with Sam Weish after playing my first 12 years in Detroit. So yeah, it was my 14th year in the league. Yeah.
So for both you guys, when you hung your pads up for the last time, how have you guys applied those trials and tribulations of the game of football to your personal life?
Go ahead, Dominic.
Yeah, I mean, for me, football it taught me a lot as far as planning and preparation. I felt like if we had a good game plan in football, went out there and executed, we won the ball game. And so now I was applying that to life. And for me, I didn't graduate college. And so it was like, well, what am I going to do next? And so I kind of came up with a few different game plans and, started executing them. And then, when things worked out, we kept it going. And if they didn't, we switched up. And so, but just kept pushing through it, tried to use all my resources that I had and all the, contacts that I made throughout the NFL throughout my career. And yeah, so we just kept pushing through it, kept knocking things down. And, but it's definitely a tough transition for me personally. And it took a while, I would say now, in 2021, I finally feel comfortable career wise, business wise, of where I'm at. And so, so it took, about 7 years for me, really about 6 years. And, now I feel comfortable. But yeah, it's an interesting transition. I think my first wake up call was when I made a doctor's appointment out of the NFL. And I was sitting there in the waiting room and I had to wait for about 2 hours. When I was in the NFL, I said, you went right in. There was no questions asked. You need an MRI, you're going right in. And so, that was a wake up call that, hey, now you're a civilian, now you're a guy. So you just have to figure it out.
Definitely. So how did the fishing, that concept come to fruition for you?
Yeah. I mean, it was one of those deals where when I was on the water, I was just at peace. All the chaos and everything was left, back at shore. And so, you're out there fishing, having fun, with your buddies and, clients and customers and just having a good time, really enjoying life. And so that was my piece. And, it still is. It's one of those deals you go out there, for a couple of days and, you're hanging out, just enjoying, God's creation. And so, yeah, that was my piece and really, develop a passion for that. And, we're actually preparing for a fish trip coming up. So
I hear you, man. So Eddie, how have you applied those trials and tribulations of football to your personal life?
Well, I know it's tough to believe, but I'm a little bit older than Zach is, and Domenik. Okay, I just turned 65 a couple of weeks ago. So my era was, I came in 1980. So very quickly, I've always been a big believer, and my father instilled this. It's not what you know, it's who you know, and having good people. There's a saying, show me your friends and you tell me who you are. So if you're around good people, you usually end up becoming a good person and good things happen to you. It's kind of a simple way of life, the way I look at it. So I got to know a lot of the older guys, Joe Schmitz and Jimmy Davids and some of the hockey guys, Alex Del Vecchio and stuff around here. And I remembered asking them, my rookie year was kind of a hot year for me. So, I led the NFC in scoring. I was voted into the Pro Bowl my rookie year. I was the first MVP of the Pro Bowl game. So a lot of really unbelievable things happened to me my rookie year. And I remember asking those guys, hey, being a Canadian, I was thinking about going back to Victoria in the off season. And they said, what you should do? You should stay here, make roots here. Detroit's a great town. Michigan's a great state. They love their athletes. Why don't you get a job? And I said, get a job? What? I said, hey, I'm a football player. What do I want to go get a job? And they go, hey, and those guys all had repping jobs and all this kind of stuff. And so I thought, what the heck, I'll do it. So I got a job. I was a sales rep for a fastening company, and nuts and bolts and screws and stuff like that. And being in the automotive industry, auto industries, they need nuts and bolts and screws to keep the cars, for lack of better words, that's really what it was. And so unbeknownst to me, I took this job, and for the life of me, I took a job every year I played football. I did all kinds of stuff. I sold advertising specialties and premiums. I was a mortgage guy. I was a franchise director for a candy store operation for like about 10 years. I always worked. And if I knew I was going to play 19 years, I more than likely wouldn't have done that, because I'm going, what the hell am I doing? Right. But also, a little bit, different, compared to Domenik, to my position, being a kicker, you're either employed or you're unemployed. right? So there's no backup. Usually the punter and the kicker back each other up compared to other positions. There are backups. So I was always scared shitless I was going to lose my job. So for me, the off-season job was a audition or a interview or an internship of maybe a job that I would, have when I'm done with football. And so that's what I did. I mean, I worked every offseason. But one of the things I did different was, I kind of took this upon myself. I don't know, Domenik, if you play golf. So, we're fortunate enough to be invited to charity outings on Mondays, right? We get a free round of golf. We get to meet some really cool people. We get to eat and drink. And it's a great perk as an athlete to be invited to these charity outings. So I always thought, I'm intrigued because the people that I'm playing golf with, they're not the workers or the grunts. They're the owners, C-level managers of the companies because they can afford to take the day off and come and play golf with us. So back then, you got to remember now, this is 80. Okay. I'm Domenik. I'm aging myself now. Okay. So understand why I did these things. Okay. So
hey, you're 45.
Okay.
I stand by it.
This is back in those days. Okay. So what I would do is I would always ask for a business card. Right. So you got a business card from these people. And so I got all these business cards and I'd go home and there was no email back then, right? There's no Google back in 80. Okay. So I would write a note. I would write, hey, Domenik, great playing with you at the American Cancer Society tournament. Great putt on 15. Maybe I'll see you there next year. Hey, Zachary, I hope you don't mind. I've already told the joke you told me a couple of times. It's some kind of personal thing from that day. I would write a note, a thank you note of getting to meet them. But I would also be gathering these business cards. And I'm not sure, Zach, even if you remember these things, but there was the old Rolodexes. Remember Rolodexes or hear of Rolodexes? You put the cards in the Rolodex. And so I had this tiny little Rolodex that ended up being a really big one by the end of 19 years of doing this shit. Okay. So I did this. Okay. And then a couple of years later, I started to expound upon it and I would send them a Christmas card. Hey, Happy New Year, Merry Christmas to you at ABC, Wire, whatever it is. Maybe I'll see you at the thing. And so I was always networking. I was using the people that I'm meeting as an opportunity to, maybe one day I'm going to end up playing with my next boss because I'm playing golf with them. And I'll tell you a story. When I finally retired in 2000, the first job interview I went on was a gentleman that owned a company that I played golf with. And he remembered me writing a note to him. And that's why he gave me the interview and he hired me. Wow. Crazy story, how things kind of loop around, but we all kind of do things. It's kind of like what you're doing, Domenik, with doing the fishing, doing the tours, meeting the people, using your influence from where you were before to open up opportunities. And I just think it's just a great tool that we were given and a gift as being an ex-athlete at the pro level. Because it's an elite group, Domenik, right? The NFL player is an elite athlete. I don't care what position you play. It's a different group because there's no minor leagues. That's why I was saying you're either employed or unemployed as a kicker. You're either employed right at your position or you're unemployed. And being on, carving out a career, being able to get a pension in this league is an accomplishment. To play those, well, now 3 years, they changed it. But back in the day, it was the fourth game of the fourth year, you got eligible. That's not that easy when you're getting beat up with the old turfs and playing in the stadiums we played in back in the 80s and the early 90s, all those things. It's so much different now. The athlete is so much taken care of now compared to us older guys, myself being older than you. But we've carved that way. So to have any kind of a career in the NFL is a huge accomplishment. So congratulations to you. And then utilizing those relationships that you've had along the way for opening up a great fishing, business for yourself.
Definitely. Networking is the key to life.
Absolutely. It is. It sure is. I mean, and there's a lot of ways to skin the cat. Like I did it because that was all we could do at that time. If I had the internet and Google back then, man, I could have been dangerous with what I had because of what I work in nonprofit now. And so I'm always on the internet. I'm always on LinkedIn. I'm always looking for people, foundations that want to support services that Hope Network, who I work for now, provide people in Michigan. So, but that's how I thought. I was given the tools that were at my disposal at that time, and I tried to do the best with it that I could. And playing at golf outings, I thought was just unbelievable for me to take advantage of this opportunity to meet some really high level business people.
Definitely. I don't know if you guys watched the game last night with the Ravens and the Raiders.
Oh yeah.
What did you guys think about the game, it going into overtime and the Raiders scoring twice and it being taken back the first time, then they scored the last one on basically a Hail Mary, breaking the coverage at the end? What did you guys think of that?
Oh, go ahead, Eddie.
Well, I'll be honest with you. I was at a golf outing yesterday. I was at the Ted Lindsay Foundation golf outing to help raise money for autism. And so I got back late. And to be honest with you, I forgot all about the game being on. It's always at the beginning of the year, you kind of forget. I just saw the highlights. So I would be giving you cliff notes. I'd be cheating to give you a good analysis. But if you watch the game more, Domenik, go right ahead.
Yeah, I mean, so my son, he plays 7U football and I coach him. And so we're getting home from practice and, eating dinner and turn the game on. And I mean, what a game, back and forth. Lamar Jackson, I tell you, he's extremely impressive in the pocket and moving around. And so the Raiders, so let's skip all the way to the ends of the good stuff. So the Hail Mary, they're in cover zero for whatever reason. Blitz him, David Carr throws off his back leg and a touchdown. I would love to know why they were in cover zero. I mean, I felt like that was just the last. Yeah, I mean, it was one of those deals where out of all the coverages, out of everything, I didn't expect that. It's such a hard fought game. And then, kind of comes down to that last play. But, taking advantage of opportunities, when David Carr, or not David Carr, Derek, when he had threw the interception, they're in the end zone, and then you think that Ravens are going to come down, next score wins, and it ends up being a fumble and just back and forth, and one team taking advantage of those opportunities. Good game, good Monday night game, good start of the season.
Definitely, but I think that last play, it was a pick play. Like they got Humphrey backing up, and there was nobody over the center of the field.
And that's what. And I know as a defensive back, you got to be on different levels. And it looked like he bumped into his guy that was trying to cover another guy. And I'm sure that'll not go over well in the film room come Tuesday or Wednesday.
When you played receiver in the NFL, when you seen something like that, what went through your mind when you seen cover zero?
Oh, I mean, that's one-on-one. I was told early in my career by Mike Shanahan, if you can't beat one-on-one, you might as well go ahead and, get your papers and go do something else. And so, I mean, that's one-on-one. That's what you can, ask for as a receiver, only thing you can ask for. And like I said, that was too easy to win a hard-fought ball game.
Yeah, for sure. That to have that interception, the guy reach out for the touchdown, interception, then come back, fumble it. It's crazy to not play zone on that last play.
To do something. Like I said, I felt like that was too easy. Even a field goal at that point in time with all the things happening, it wasn't a given. But yeah, that's why they get paid the big bucks. And we just get to play armchair quarterback now.
Yeah.
Definitely. I'll leave you guys on this last question. Sure. What was the toughest moment in the NFL?
Go ahead, Eddie.
Well, I think it's when we all don't leave this game on our own terms. Domenik was talking about the transition. Well, one of the things that is interesting, the Detroit Lions have, about 5 years ago, Eric Hipple put together a peer-for-peer program. Eric and I came into the league together as a quarterback for the Lions. The reason for it was Eric had a son who committed suicide, and Eric had some difficulties afterwards. Eric also tried to commit suicide a couple of times himself. And from that had gone and gotten help and went through depression protocols after being incarcerated for drunk driving and being in prison. The judge says you need to go and get some mental health. And he ended up going through the University of Michigan's depression department and doing well and getting himself in a good place that they even offered him a job. So long story short, Eric put this program together wanting to help veterans, our veterans, NFL veterans that went through the Detroit Lions, whether they played, had a cup of coffee or they played 22 years for the Lions like Jason Hansen has, to just see how they're doing. How are they transitioning through the game? How's their health? How's their marriage? How's their finances? How are things going? Because when we leave the game, we all have a chip on our shoulder, right, Domenik? We got screwed. We got cut. We got mistreated. Okay, I can't believe the Giants did this to me. I can't believe the Lions did that to me. They let me go, and so you leave the game. You don't want anything to do with the game. You don't want nothing to do with it. But meanwhile, there are services and things that can help alumni players out there go through some transition. So what we do is we reach out to. There's about a database of 400 players the Lions have that we reach out and see how everybody's doing. How are they doing with things? And I'm sure you've seen what the newest thing, Domenik, which is unbelievable, is the integrated hospital system that they have for the players that's out there, right? As well as, the new health reimbursement fund that we have of $50,000 that we can take advantage of if we don't have the funding or we don't have insurance, that we now have money that we can pay for our health care. And that's always been my biggest thing. This is a violent game. What guys get beat up, they may be a certain age, but their body is 10, 15 years older than what their actual age is because they just beat the hell out of each other. And I just have always thought the NFL has done a poor job with the alumni on their health after the game. And it's good to see that them stepping forward. There are a lot of things that are going on there, aftercare programs and also the concussion lawsuits and being the protocols that you're going through. There's a lot of things out there that are able for alumni players to take care of themselves. And so what we reach out to guys and try to do the best we can to supply them with these services. We're not clinicians, so if someone's having some health issues, we then contact hospitals or we contact specialists to get a hold of these guys to help them out. And it's been a phenomenal program. I know there are a bunch of teams that are trying to emulate what we're doing. I know the Bears and the Raiders, of all things, last night, they're the two major teams right now that have talking to us, and we've gone in and we've actually met with the league. Goodell brought us in, and all of our we have peer captains. So there's 10 ex-Lion players, and I happen to be one of the peer captains that Eric asked to be go through this training that we had to go through to do this. And it's been a phenomenal program. And we're just out to try to help guys, just get resources to them, get them some knowledge so they can, not be in a dark place or not be in a bind with going through the transition of being an active player to civilian life. Like what you said, going to an appointment and having to wait 2 hours. Guess what? That's what we do when we don't play football anymore. It sucks, right? It sucks having to wait there forever, but that's what other people have to do. So having to go through all of those things is something that we have to accept.
Definitely. So Domenik, what was the toughest moment for you?
Yeah, I think Eddie hit it right on the head, retiring and having to deal with, I call it real life moments. But since he already hit on that, I want to hit on, I guess, the second toughest moment that turned out to be the biggest blessing for me was when I was fired from Denver. I just had bought a house going into my second year. Bought a house, had my car out there, was really enjoying life. And I ended up getting fired from Denver after our fourth game and not knowing if I was going to play football ever again. Just was going through life and just really didn't enjoy the game anymore. And so that 24 hours of being on the waiver wire, just having bought a house, having car, having bills come in, was a reality check on how fast things could end.
Mm-hmm.
And so after those 24 hours, my agent giving me a call and telling me that the New York Giants picked me up, and that ended up being our first Super Bowl run and win. It's one of those deals where, I look back on it, and it was probably one of the worst feelings of my life, being cut, not having a job for 24 hours,
Mm-hmm.
but just, thanking God that I had the right people around me, the right foundation around me to encourage me to keep going, because if not, I'd have missed out, on one of my biggest blessings, winning a Super Bowl and meeting a great group of guys. So, it was really tough, and then all of a sudden, things turned around and guys' plan came into effect.
Definitely.
That's
So
great.
this our show is concluding, guys. I greatly appreciate you tuning in with us and coming on our show, and it was a blessing to have both of you on with us. 3
Thanks for having us.
Super
Yeah,
Bowls
thank you for
within both of
having
you
us.
guys.
All right, Eddie, you take care, man.
You also,
Blessings.
continued success. Okay, keep towing the line. Just keep believing what you're doing is the right thing.
Hey,
Yes, sir.
blessings to
You do
both
the
of you
same.
guys, man.
All right,
Peace
take
out.
it easy.
Sure.
Peace.